In preparation of getting this machine up and running, I've been going through all of my eBay scores and cleaning them here in this little ultrasonic cleaner. It does have a built-in heater, and it was a whopping 50 bucks for this little guy. And I must say, for 50 bucks, I mean, it's pretty nice. There's no drain on it. You just, dump it out and don't leave it on with the heater. But yeah, I mean, works great. 50 bucks. Making all my cowlets nice and shiny. And all my tool holders. And I've been doing about 15 minutes in Dawn soap, a little bit of Simple Green and water, and then letting them soak in some WD-40 here, and then cleaning them off, and then putting on the towel to dry. So these are the style holders I will be using for my form tool. This is an old form tool that came with one of them, and you can see it's a pretty complicated form there, but this is the reverse image of what the part is. So some kind of a brass bushing, because this was covered in brass chips when it came out. So you can do a lot of complex stuff with just form tools, and then you just you have a company grind that for you based on your print. You give them your print, and then they grind you a tool, and then there you go. So I have a good amount of holders that just need a good little cleaning, but I think I'm going to stop there until I get some other things situated. But anyway, ultrasonic cleaner is a yes. It's just got a power switch in the back. 50 bucks on eBay. I'll put the link down below if you're interested. Free shipping, 50 bucks. You got one. Throw a carburetor in it. They are not miracle workers. You need to clean things before you put them in there, but they do a darn good job afterwards. Like some of these holders had grease on them, and it wouldn't eradicate the grease, but if you were to clean the grease off and then put them in there, then they come out sparkly clean. So don't just take a dirty carburetor off your lawnmower or car and just dump it in there and think it'll work magic, because you gotta be methodical in how you use them. Anyway, need your old tuna cans for parts cleaner. It's always good. Other than that, alright, in preparation again for when this gets hooked up to electric, hopefully this week, cross your fingers, I need to redo my turret setup for a 5.5 inch cam. So on the cover that goes over it, you can make out a 5.5 inch cam, and I set it up for a 5-inch cam. So I am redoing my mistake. Yes, I am a human. I make mistakes. So that cover is off. I got the drip tray off. Here's the drip tray. I have my 5.5 inch lead cam. I did have to drill a hole out to make room, for the pin, for that pin right there. And all I care about is that this makeshift cam is flush up against that, and my little roller sits on it. So I can try to do it here for you guys. There you go. That is all I care about. That roller is sitting on a 5.5 inch cam. So now I can set my numbers properly from the distance to... Really? Is that sitting on there? Oh, it's because I have the spring. I have the spring in the turret is still engaged. I have to pull this pin right here. So when I do that, the cam will be off and the spring will be relaxed as much as I can. I'll pull that pin out, which will release that spring tension, and then this can just free float on the ways. And I will have to adjust those as well. So I will look for my tripod, and then we'll kind of MacGyver something together for you guys here. So let me stick you guys on a tripod and we'll figure it out. Alright, well, that's as high as my little tripod goes. So, I need to get that cam out. Oh. See, that spring's already off that. And you gotta be careful because there's a lot of, or not. So, or not, built up for nothing. So now this turret, can you guys see? So now I can just free flow this turret and I don't have to fight that spring anymore. So we want our 5.5 inch cam. Okay. I want the turret on it. And we want 1.9/16. Excuse me. 1.9/16 from our turret. So, oh, look at all the crap in those. So here's the drip tray, and I installed the throw out arm on it and went ahead and cleaned it all. So all the surfaces that are supposed to move freely. So we'll get this installed and we'll bring you back when it is. Helps when you install it correctly. So this is the correct way it should be. Alright. Now let's get it back on. So I got the drip tray back in place, and you can see here that that arm can throw that catch out. So that's all back to normal here. And so I wanted to show you guys, this is the plunger. And this little seal makes an air cushion, so when that turret comes back, it has that cushion of air to kind of gently guide her back into place. Anyway, here's the spring, because my battery's almost dead. So, and then that pin rides on that indent right there. So that's all your spring tension right there. Anyway, let me get her back together and then we'll cycle it over. Alright, well, I haven't cycled it yet because the electricians have finally come. And they have been working a good part of the day putting in this cabinet, feeding it off of my panel into the cabinet, into the VFDs, and then very nicely put in conduit up and over to the machine here. And got her wired in here. So these are my switches now. Sadly, I cannot use these nice pretty switches because VFDs. So this machine is a 3-phase 220, so you would have 3-phase 220 coming into here. And then you have transformers and step downs which power the whole cabinet. And with VFD, I can't do that. So I have the 5 horsepower VFD going into this motor starter, and I have the half horse VFD going into this cabinet, and you cannot, it's kind of spotty on power, what you can power, and so that column with the switches is not powered currently, so they had to install these switches which turn on the magnetic starters. These are 120, and so you have spindle and the drive shaft switches right there. So all they do is put 120 to here, which sucks that in and turns on the drive shaft, and it does the same down here for the main spindle. Do I regret getting a VFD? Yes I do, because if you had a phase converter would sit there, you would have 223 phase coming out going straight into the machine. You wouldn't have to MacGyver all these things together to try to get the machine to work. You don't have to screw around with the VFD setting it to a specific setting to run your motor. You can just plug it and go. So in the future, I will definitely be getting a phase converter and or something along those lines, because I would really like to use the counter, because now I can't use this counter. I haven't really looked into using it, but I'm pretty sure I can't use it, and I would like to use the switches. Another big drawback is I cannot tap with this machine now, so I cannot reverse the spindle motor on the fly like I can if I just had 223 phase going into it. So that pretty much narrows this machine down to running my part, and if I want to deviate from that part, I am going to have to get the phase converter or something very similar to it in order to run all of the electronics in this machine. And that is where this factor is that this is not just a lathe with one motor that you can just plumb a VFD in. That's a perfect use for a VFD. This thing is a bit more complicated than that, and it has a lot more power demands and step downs than just a regular old lathe. So that is my regret in doing this, and I have yet to get the bill from the electricians, but I am sure it will be a good chunk of money that I have put into this boat anchor. But the boat anchor has moved today. The spindle has not moved very much. They are coming back tomorrow to figure that out. I have tried programming the VFD, and right now the motor for this is an AC motor, and the VFD says it's putting out 330 volts DC and then only like 36 volts AC, so this thing doesn't hardly move. It may be spinning at like 5 RPM. It's not doing anything. I figured out the drive shaft motor, and if I was going to buy another VFD, I would definitely buy another Tico Westinghouse VFD. This thing is very nice. It costs damn near more than this giant brick. Again, these would be great for a mill or a drill press or a lathe with just one standard motor and not multiple things you got to deal with. So I will say having it in this nice box is very attractive, and then you only have a single pole running out to the machine, which is nice. So I did figure out the drive shaft. I got the motor working, however it is spinning backwards, which does not help my situation. So they will be fixing that tomorrow as well. I am hoping tomorrow we will have the drive shaft done and the spindle. Another problem with not using the machine box as it functions is that I'm still not sure if I can use the counter or not. So you can't use a counter, 50-50, but the safety mechanisms don't work. So usually when you lock the handle in, it'll kill the machine because there's a safety switch. There's a safety trip on this. But since that switch has no contact or anything, the machine just keeps going, which can be bad. So basically it's making a bunch of headaches when I tried to save some money, and it's biting me in the ass right now. But it will get the machine going. We'll do proof of concept. We'll make a bunch of parts. I still have to check and see if I can really show me making the parts. We'll make a bunch of parts, so we'll make some money. And then from there, we will make smart decisions and get another phase converter. Another bonus of having a phase converter is that I could potentially run 2 of these machines on the same phase converter. And if I was back east somewhere, you bet you I would have probably 2 or 3 of these machines in my garage chugging away, because these things are dirt cheap over there. For like, you can pick one up for like less than $1,000. And granted, it is not as pretty as this one, but it is still a machine that you can make money on if you know how to do it. So I also got a motor that can fit here. And again, I cannot use this plug because I don't have the machine wired in. If I had it hooked up, I could just plug in the motor right there and I'd have it ready to go. But now it's a bit more complicated. Of course, I could just plumb in 120 from an extension cord in the wall and just plug it in and then have a little switch to turn it on. But you see how more complicated this thing is getting. So just spend money. That's what I'm saying. Spend the money. Anyway, here is the cute little motor that can power a slitter attachment. It does need a little love. It needs a little love. But there it is. I thought it would be a lot bigger. Maybe it's just because that's how the pictures looked. But there's the 4-prong plug that would plug in there. So we'll have to clean that up and get that going. But anyway, that is the current status of the machine. Again, I don't know if this will work. They've kind of, it's MacGyvered together, but it's electrician MacGyvered together, so it's, better than what I could do. And they are more knowledgeable than I am. I am dangerous, but I would rather just pay somebody to just come and do it. So that's where I'm at right now. So thanks for watching, guys. I will keep you updated, and we'll see you guys shortly.